There have been 19 distinct Tony Hawk titles over the years, but this is the one that started it all, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Now there's no doubt that they improved the formula over time, but is the original still worth playing? Let's take a look and find out. If you want to play Tony Hawk 1 these days, you've got 4, more like 3.5 choices. The PlayStation, N64, Dreamcast, and the Xbox. You can kind of throw away the Xbox version right away though. The Tony Hawk 1 career was included in Tony Hawk 2X, but you unlock it after you beat the Tony Hawk 2 career, meaning that your stats are already really high, and you can also do manuals, which makes the score challenges way too easy. It's cool to have as a bonus, but this is not the best way to play Pro Skater 1. Back in the day, the biggest debate was between the N64 and the PlayStation. Load times versus soundtrack. The N64 version had to cut a lot of corners to fit on a cartridge. They removed a lot of the songs, or just the lyrics from the songs, and looped the ones that were left, and they also removed all the FMV. That means no ending videos and no video screens in the levels. A lot of the effects are missing too, like the way things interact when you skate them. They also removed the blood. But the frame rate is a bit more stable, the graphics are sharper, and the load times are much better. Now the PlayStation version is the original, and it's got a lot more content than the N64. But it's also got some of the weird PS1 issues, like the texture glitching. So don't forget about the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast version is identical to the PS1, except it looks a lot better. The only downside is that the game was designed for a PS1 controller. Personally, I stick with the PlayStation, but that's mostly for nostalgia. I'm going to use footage from every version, and you can decide for yourself which one you want to try. I'll set the scene for you. It came out in August 1999. Bill Clinton was still president. The Matrix, Fight Club, and The Phantom Menace were the big movies of that year. Street Skater 1 had come out already, but there still hadn't been a major skateboarding game since the days of Skate or Die on the NES. All these games had some element of racing in them, and Pro Skater was the first one to be score and goal based. Part of the reason this game felt so different is because of the tight collaboration with Tony Hawk. The website Planet Tony Hawk says, with each new build of the game, he was given a copy to go through. If something didn't feel true to skateboarding, or if it looked off, he would report back to Neversoft. He was also involved in motion capture. This game had a lot of skateboarding clout behind it and is the most authentic game possible at the time. So if you've never played the original game, you may be in for a surprise. There are no manuals at all. Playing it now, I kept hitting up-down when I landed everything. It takes a long time to get used to playing like that. Getting high scores is pretty hard because you can't really count on getting a high multiplier. It's all about just holding grabs really long and mixing up your tricks. This changes the gameplay completely. There are also a few major differences in the controls. Instead of no complies and bonuses, you have nollies and fast plants. The nollies are sort of an independent thing. There's this weird animation where you kind of do it with one foot. You nollie and then you just do your regular stance trick. They didn't reanimate everything off the nose. And you can do switch nollies. You'd think that would be an easy fix, but there it is. There are also no double tap tricks, like down down square for 360 flips. So you only have 8 flip tricks and 8 grabs. The line between flip and grab is a little blurrier in this game. Kickflip indies, finger flips, and other air tricks that have a flip in them are counted as flip tricks, even though you can hold them like a grab. I wasn't used to not being able to do all my flip tricks on flat. In this game, you definitely need to know all of your tricks and how long they take. They aren't as interchangeable as they were in later games. So for that reason, it's a little easier to play as a street skater instead of a vert one. There are a couple more rough edges too, like not being able to land perfect like in Tony Hawk 2. That's always really satisfying and it felt weird that it was missing here. Also, when you come to a stop, it sometimes takes you forever to actually get going again. You don't push like in other skateboarding games, so you just hold X and wait. Also, I can't figure out where in the menu you can see your special tricks. Every time I did one, it was completely on accident. I could look it up in the manual, but I just didn't bother. Each of the 9 stages in Pro Skater 1 is very similar. You have 5 challenges, or tapes, that you need to unlock. Find skate, collect or destroy 5 more level-specific things, get a high score, and get the secret tape. So there are much fewer goals and even fewer stats that you can't even edit. Those floating things in the levels, they aren't stat points from Pro Skater 3, they aren't cash icons from 2, they're just extra points. That's right, you have gaps that give you a bonus, and you also have point icons. It's a little strange. Just like the next couple of games, there are also contests that you need to medal in. There's nothing that should be too challenging for Tony Hawk pros out there, but the level design definitely gets in the way of any massive combos. In later games, you can wall right up to a grind on top of a wall, transfer over to a power chord, grind that all the way to the other side of the level, transfer into a grind on a building, and just keep a combo going forever. But look at the Chicago level here. If you try that, you just run into a pole. Basically, you just hit one rail and your trick is over. In part, I think this is kinda cool. You know, starting around Pro Skater 4, the series started to try including more realistic places again. But the problem was that the physics don't really let you skate stuff the way it is in real life. Like the street section in the Kona level. You just fly right over everything. And even grinding the whole box end to end is basically worthless. To get points, you end up just grinding power cables and bleachers and ignoring the actual ramps that were designed for skateboarding. In Tony Hawk 1, things were more simple. In the skate park, you skate the ramps and the rails designed for skating. Isn't that a crazy concept? Something about Pro Skater 1 just feels more pure. There's no Bam Margera, there's no free ballin', there's no weird non-skating characters. It's a skateboarding game. It's not exactly realistic, especially the vert stuff. It's a Tony Hawk game. You can do a 720 kickflip plus 360 flip. Still, I think it's got a good balance. But is the game worth playing today? Yeah. Well, at least I think it's interesting. And it really gives perspective on the later games in the series and just helps you see how off track they got. The less they were about skating and the more they were about destroying property, pushing tourists in the water, knocking over kegs, feeding sea lions, the worse the games got. But we'll get to that later when I review those games. The game is dirt cheap right now, and I definitely think it's worth having, at least as a collectible. Well, that's all for this one. Which Tony Hawk game was your favorite? I'm planning on reviewing the whole series eventually, but I want to cover them in order so I can bring up new features and stuff as they were introduced. I think a lot of people say 2, 4, or Underground. For me, it's gotta be 2, and I'll be happy to tell you all about it when that review goes up. But until then, here's some more recent videos that you might enjoy. If you liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe for more stuff like this every Tuesday. Thanks for watching.